Yo, what is up, residents of the Meisterclay? It's your boy Six Meister. Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy YK Anime coming at you with a brand new What If. I want to apologize for not uploading, but this is a common thing of me not uploading, so you guys can get over it real quick. But today we're doing What If Deku was the boy of death. It's a cool manhwa I read. You guys should really read it. It's about a guy who is trying to find his mom, who's supposedly dead, but not really. We're not really too far into the story, but he ends up making a deal with the Grim Reaper, who gives him powers to pretty much, well, kind of get the souls of dead people. For example, Muhammad Ali, he pretty much became like, he's a pro boxer. If you guys don't know Muhammad Ali, you guys really need to know your boxers and stuff like that. But he pretty much can use the soul of people like Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, etc., etc. So that's what I'll be doing today. What if Deku was the boy of death? Hope you guys will enjoy this what if. Again, I'll apologize for not uploading. Nothing new. And let us begin. So the story begins with Midoriya essentially getting bullied by Bakugo, with Bakugo throwing his hero book out of the tub. Just like how the story would go on into the normal anime. But this time, Midoriya would take Bakugo's advice of jumping off the roof. Midoriya would go to the top of his school and would pretty much try to commit die. But he's instantly stopped. Well, kind of. He would wake up a few minutes later, find himself in an alleyway. He doesn't know what happened, as last he remembers was him nearly falling off to his death, where he would hear a strange voice. He would turn around to see what seems to be a lady with wings. He thinks this person is a hero and probably saved him, but she says that she isn't, and in fact is the Grim Reaper. Midoriya is shocked to hear this and thinks that she's just playing a prank on him. And she pretty much says that, I know that you want a quirk, which surprises Midoriya and says, how do you know that? And he says, because, and well, why did he, not he, she says that, I've been watching you for quite a while. And someone without a quirk really wants one. And that's you. Midoriya would simply laugh and say, how are you going to give me a quirk? And she simply says, well, I'm not going to give you a quirk. It's more like a power to get quirks. So she pretty much explains that what I'm going to give to you is pretty much have the ability to gain the souls of dead people. And you will pretty much have the quirk of that dead person, not forever, but for like a limited time, around a few hours. Midoriya says, what's the point if I'm just gonna not have a quirk forever? And she simply says that you will have this ability forever, but to do it you have to tear this ticket over here in my hand. You see this ticket? You have to tear it to get the powers of the dead person. So she does. So Midoriya pretty much kind of accepts the deal, and she leaves, and Midoriya doesn't think much of it, probably thinks he's high as fuck, and tries to go back home, where he will meet the sludge villain, and he would see that in his pocket is a ticket. So he thinks to himself maybe she wasn't really lying, and decides to tear the ticket, which he's then introduced to a giant board with a bunch of dead people's names on it. He would instantly recognize these names as heroes. Well, some of them. Some he hasn't even heard of. Some celebrities like pro boxers, pro athletes. He would see a name that would catch his eye. Nana Shimura. And he would think back, where have I heard that name before? And he would instantly recognize the name as one of the pro heroes, and would remember that, oh, she's the person who used to mentor All Might, if I'm correct. All Might did say that in an interview. So he probably wouldn't know what her quirk is, but just know that she's pretty strong, and would get her soul in. And he would come back to reality to see that his body's in the sludge villain getting taken over, and Midoriya doesn't really know what to do. So he tries his best to find out what her quirk is, try to use his quirk. When he kind of gets the hang of it, when him and the sludge villain slowly begin to levitate. So that's when Midoriya thinks, oh, her quirk must have been able to fly, and he flies incredibly roughly to try to shake the sludge villain off, which he does, and a few seconds later, All Might appears. All Might would see Midoriya flying around trying to get the sludge villain off, and would just see it splat on the ground, pieces just splat all over the ground, and would think that this quirk is quite similar to his old master's, Nana Shimura, and All Might would jump up and grab Midoriya before anything else would happen, and would say, "Never fear, because I am here," and would be able to remove the sludge villain off Midoriya, collect the remaining pieces, and put him into the bottle. All Might would say, "That's quite an interesting quirk you have," and this would give him the idea. If Nana Shimura had the same quirk as, if he has the same quirk as his old master, he probably is related to her. So he says, "Do you have any relation to one of the pro heroes who's long past Nana Shimura?" And Midoriya would simply say no. Then All Might would simply say that it's probably just a coincidence that his quirk is able to float like Nana Shimura. But he would think that he might actually be a good candidate for One For All, since it's, he has a similar quirk like his master, and his master did great things with the quirk, so it would probably be a good, he probably might be a good candidate, and the way he used his quirk to get off the sludge villain off of him, All Might would say, "Yeah, this guy is good, I like him. New candidate idea." Well, kind of like, you get the point. So All Might would take his leave, and Midoriya wouldn't ask All Might about, can someone without a quirk become a hero thingy. He would just say that, holy crap, I got a quirk, and would start to test out his flying ability. But off in the distance, a young Bakugo would see Midoriya flying, and this would obviously shock Bakugo, who's currently with his friends, and Bakugo would be stunned and unable to move. He just saw the one kid without a quirk just fly, and thinks that he might be tripping out, and simply just ignores it. "Well, you're not tripping out, Bakugo. What you did see was absolutely real." Midoriya would fly to his house, where his mother would be surprised that Midoriya is home early. Usually it would take him a few hours, but now it took him a few minutes. And Midoriya would simply say that, "Oh, it's nothing. I just ran instead of walking. It felt like I was getting chased, so it came here more faster." And off in the distance is the Grim Reaper watching onto Midoriya, saying, "Oh wow, so he got a hang of it quite quickly." And so Midoriya's days would go on the same, testing out about his abilities. But then you'd realize that Nana Shimura's name on the board where he's supposed to choose the dead persons, she's no longer there. So she was right. Once he uses a soul, the soul is no longer part of him. He's already used them. And so Midoriya would test out other souls, like non-people people who are just celebrities, people without quirks, and you get the point. That's when, one day, All Might would appear at his front door. Inko wouldn't be home, and Midoriya would be shocked to find All Might just standing there. All Might would say that, "You're my candidate, young Midoriya. If that's your name, if I'm correct." And Midoriya would say, "Yeah, how would you know?" And he says, "After our first encounter, I was quite interested in you, so I decided to do some research on you. A lot of research. And here it says that you're supposed to be quirkless, but you're flying around." And Midoriya would get quite shocked that All Might is doing some information on him, but kind of scared that All Might would probably find out that Midoriya made a deal with the devil. So he's like, oh, I actually hid it from everyone, my quirk. You see, and then All Might would say, I completely understand. That's alright, young Midoriya. And he would go on to tell Midoriya that I want you to be the candidate of One for All, which would confuse Midoriya on one for what? And you say, it's my quirk. It enhances the person's abilities, making them incredibly strong, and would tell him about One for All. During this explanation, he would turn into his small mind form, which Midoriya would which All Might would explain that, oh, this injury makes me tiny. I can only hold this form for a few hours, and I only came here an hour, like a few minutes before. He would explain Midoriya about One for All, and he would say that you're my candidate for it. I want you to become my next successor of it. Midoriya would be scared as he doesn't know if he wants to decline the offer or accept the offer, and would obviously frighteningly mistakenly say yes, and All Might will be like, well, good thing, Midoriya. I wanted you to say yes, and All Might would turn into his buff form and jump run away before Midoriya could say anything, which would leave Midoriya a bit flabbergasted. And a few minutes later, Bakugo would appear and say, have you been lying to me this whole time? Are you not quirkless? Which Midoriya would turn to the right to see a angry Bakugo running at him. Bakugo would try to attack Midoriya, but for some reason his attack is quite slow, and Midoriya would be able to dodge it, which would shock Bakugo and say, I saw you flying the other day. Tell me it's not true. And Midoriya would say, what are you talking about? Then he would begin to say that the day I told you to jump off the roof, you were flying, weren't you? I saw that. Midoriya would get shocked and would simply say, I don't know what you're talking about, Bakugo, and would think to himself, oh crap, Bakugo saw me flying. Damn it, I knew someone would have seen me. Bakugo would try to interrogate Midoriya, but Midoriya would simply say, I don't know what you're talking about, maybe you were just hallucinating. Bakugo would simply say, yes I am, and would then leave. Midoriya would be exhausted as Bakugo just tried to expose him, but kind of failed to do so. And so, Midoriya, everything on would go the same. Midoriya would apply for UA. All Might would call over Midoriya for training. Midoriya would train to get One for All, which Midoriya would get souls of people who would help him fasten his training, like pro boxers and stuff like that. And Midoriya, at the end of his training, would probably be a bit stronger than he was normally in the story. Well, that's what I think. I think he would definitely be stronger. So, All Might would give Midoriya his quirk. Eat this, boy! Sorry, I've been playing too much God of War. I don't know why I said boy. Midoriya would get One for All and would instantly activate Float on accident. Because Midoriya used Float before Nanoshimura's quirk, he had already entered her soul. So now her soul is completely full inside him. It's quite hard to explain. Like, if you read the manhwa, you can kind of understand. But Midoriya is just, well, now he starts to float. And he's like, what? But I wasn't able to float before because Nanoshimura's thing isn't working. And Midoriya would realize, oh, wait, so that means I can pretty much float, I guess, permanently now. Permanently. Midoriya would go home excited and say that, oh wow, I can now float permanently. I wonder why. That's when the Grim Reaper would appear in his room, and she would say, I've seen your training these past months with the number one hero you people call All Might. Midoriya would get quite offended by this and say, don't say that about All Might. And she would begin to say, yeah, whatever. Anyways, if I'm correct, the first quirk you used was Float, and all of a sudden now you're able to use it again. It seems to be that quirk One for All. seems to be helping you. It seems that it kind of boosted the ability I given to you. Now you can able to use quirks you previously used. And Midoriya would simply say, huh, so that seems to be the reason, and would try to float again, but wouldn't. And she would begin to say, sure, it make you allow to use the ability again, but notice how your All Might #1 hero guy has that time limit on his body. Seems to be something has been placed on you too. After 3 hours, looks like your quirks are gonna disappear and probably come back after a while. So Midoriya would get shocked, and she would simply just disappear, like the Grim Reaper she is. Midoriya would apply for UA, everyone would laugh at him, except for Bakugo. And, well, no, wait, this is before. What am I? I'm kind of confused. I'm a confused what ifer. Midoriya would go for the entrance exam, and this time, he wouldn't trip. And, the interaction between him and Uraraka wouldn't really happen. Everything young would go the same. Ida would call Midoriya out. Midoriya would do the practical exam and all of that stuff. But for the point exam, I keep forgetting what these things are called. I haven't watched Midoriya, My Hero in a while. I kind of don't recap my animes. I just go off of my head. Midoriya would, with One for All, he hasn't used it ever since he got it, but he has been using his abilities to pretty much get the powers of the dead. And Midoriya would be seen flying around, trying to avoid instead of getting points. That's when Midoriya would simply use the soul of a dead boxer, Muhammad Ali. I just want to use Muhammad Ali in the story, and would try to beat one of the robots, which is to no avail. In the story, what I would say is pro boxers and stuff like that, pro athletes, I wouldn't say they would have quirks. I would say they'd probably be quirkless, because I don't want to give them a quirk. I'm just too lazy to do that. So pro heroes would get quirks, but people who weren't heroes, like pro athletes, won't be having quirks, or won't be giving Midoriya quirks. So Midoriya would, for once, try to use One for All, and it would quite work. And Midoriya getting injured, it would quite it would quite hurt, but he wouldn't get like severely injured where his hand's completely broken. Midoriya would realize this and would try to hold back a bit, to a point where it wouldn't hurt. I'm sorry if you can hear my pet bird in the background. So he would just get a bunch of points, where it would go to Uraraka getting her leg crushed and the 0 points appearing. Midoriya would fly up to the 0 points and destroy it, leaving everybody flabbergasted. The children were shocked. Midoriya wouldn't be injured, well, quite injured. I would say he would have at least broken one of his fingers, which would get healed by Recovery Lady. And so this would give a chance for Uraraka to thank Midoriya, because this time Midoriya is not really knocked out. He's kind of still awake, so she would thank Midoriya, ask for his name and stuff. And so I will be leaving this part here. I'm sorry if this video just came out of my bum, because it has. I just decided to make it because I really feel like uploading. Once again, I apologize for not uploading. There's just been a lot of things that have been happening to me. And so, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this What If. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, join Discord server, link in description, and check out my Instagram. I also upload there once in a while. And so yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys in the next What If video. Peace out.